You concerned at all that Kentucky just got through struggling with Miles College? They only won that game 80-71. It was two, and this wasn't like Miles College made a run to cut it to single digits late. Like, it was a competitive game all game. Does that bother you at all, or just an exhibition? Who cares?
Well, a couple things on that. First of all, was I watching this exhibition? There's a 0% chance. I'm not watching. Exhibitions usually mean nothing, but apparently Miles College hit like its first like 8 3-pointers or something like that. So they were absurd, starting hot from the field. And it tends to happen. Teams that go play in rough, they usually just light it up from beyond the 3-point arc. Kind of weird how that happens. But the 80-71 win is the only time that Kentucky has won by fewer than 20 points in an exhibition game under John Calipari. So if you want to just, gently flare any sort of panic light, then maybe that's why. I don't really have a lot of concern with it, obviously, but it is something. Kentucky's coming off a 9-win season, and it squeaked out. If you want to call it squeaked out, they won by 9 over Miles. I don't have a ton of concern. I'll give you a little backdrop between these two schools here before we make our predictions. This is the 23rd all-time meeting between these two. Kentucky leads the series 12-10, but Duke has actually won 8 of the past 10 tilts, but that goes all the way back to 1979. How about this? It's the first time these two teams, this is somewhat surprising. This is the first time both these teams are playing at Madison Square Garden when playing against each other. Kentucky versus Duke at MSG has never happened until Tuesday night. The last time these two teams met, 2018, that was in Indianapolis. Duke's 118-84 win announced the arrival and the dominant arrival of Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, who could ever forget him, and company. And it was the worst loss statistically by margin in John Calipari's coaching career. Mike Krzyzewski is 6-2 all time against Kentucky. And Duke has opened the season 3 times in its history against UK. All 3 were Duke wins. The first one was an 82-76 overtime win in 1979. GP was 8 years old then. I wasn't born. That was in Springfield, Massachusetts, the Tip-Off Classic. They played again to open the 88-89 season. 80-55, Duke pasted Kentucky, which at that point was in the throes of a major NCAA investigation. That was also the Tip-Off Classic in Springfield, Massachusetts. You have any memory, before I get to the last, you have any memory of a Tip-Off Classic starting the college basketball season for like 20 years?
By the way, I was 2 years old in 1979. 2. I barely have memories of the Champions Classic. All right. I barely have Champion Classic memories. I don't need you quizzing me about Tip-Off Classic memories.
It's not even a quiz. I've never heard of this thing as being a thing. Tip-Off Classic, Springfield, Massachusetts. Are we bringing it back? Apparently not.
But I have covered a game in Springfield, Massachusetts for some reason or another. I think that's maybe Hall of Fame Classic.
It was probably used to be there. Now it's at the Mohegan Sun. I'll be there next week for a sweet doubleheader. The third one, 118-84, Duke and 18. So this is the 4th time these two teams will have met to open the season. Duke is 3-0. This will be Coach K's final game at the Garden.
Final season.
You heard it here first. First college basketball podcast on video. Never forget that. Mike Krzyzewski's final season at Duke.
What if I just start like actually like with a straight face, constantly reminding people and do you guys realize this is Mike? A lot of people are not talking about. I don't know if everybody understands yet, but this is Mike Krzyzewski's final season at Duke.
The people that love us will love it, and the people that don't get the show will threaten to unsubscribe to our YouTube channel. That's, I think, how that's going to go. K is 33-11 all time with Duke at MSG. That includes neutral, the occasional roadie against St. John's he's had over the years. And Tuesday night will be his 1,400th game, 1,400 as a head coach. So barring Duke going to the Final Four of the NIT this season, I guess anything's on the table. This will be the final time he coaches in MSG. Let me twist it back on you here. What interests you most, aside from the fact that it's Coach K's first game of his final season, when it comes to the game itself? Be it Kentucky side, Duke side, whatever. There's no shortage of interesting storylines here. To you, what pops out to you most? What are you most interested to see or learn or come to be when we get there Tuesday night at MSG?
The first game for Paolo Banchero. I mean, I know Chet Holmgren was the number 1 prospect in the class, and I know some people think Chet Holmgren will be the number 1 pick in the draft, and he might be. I would bet on Paolo, and so I think there's a chance on Tuesday night you and I are sitting inside the Garden and we're watching the best player in college basketball. Even though I voted for Drew Timme, as preseason player of the year, I think there's a chance Paolo will be the best player in college basketball. By the way, did you see him in their exhibition? Duke only played one exhibition. Kentucky played two. He had 21 points, 9 rebounds in 20 minutes. 21 points in 20 minutes. It's 8 of 13 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. And, it should be noted, A.J. Griffin played in that exhibition. He had missed a lot of the preseason with a right knee injury. Came off the bench. He got 10 points in 17 minutes. So, assuming there's been no setback since then, he will be in this game. And a few weeks ago, there were some questions about whether he would be available for this game. So seeing those 2 5-star freshmen for Duke, but mostly Paolo, I think is the most interesting thing. Like, I won't be surprised if we are late Tuesday podcasting about one of the great Duke debuts in Duke, in college, in history, in a Duke win where Paolo goes for 30 and 14. I mean, that's not crazy to me. So interested in that. And you know what? Like, I know Kentucky struggled with Miles College the other night, but one of the things Kentucky did do well is shoot the ball from 3. They were 11 of 19 from 3. And this is something we've talked about as John remade this roster this past offseason. Last season, Kentucky had lots of issues, but 2 obvious ones. They had no quality point guards, couldn't take care of the ball, and they didn't have enough shooting. So they could not shoot at all. And when you add Ty Washington, Severe Wheeler, Kellen Grady, CJ Frederick, what you add is ball handling and shooting. And so the other night they started Ty Washington, Severe Wheeler, Kellen Grady, Keon Brooks, Oscar Shibwe. So you go from having no quality league guards last season. Now you got 2 in your starting lineup. You've got a shooter in Kellen Grady. Ty can also shoot it. And if you go look at the numbers from the UK starters, in the first exhibition against Kentucky Wesleyan, they were 9 of 15 from 3, the starters. And the same starters, the same 5 started both games. So that's who you're going to see Tuesday night. They were 9 of 15 from 3 against Kentucky Wesleyan, 8 of 12 from 3 against Miles College. So in the 2 exhibitions, Kentucky starters are 17 of 27 from 3. That's 63%. That is super encouraging if you're a Kentucky fan, and it underlines what we had talked about this entire offseason. I can't promise you Kentucky is going to be a legitimate Final Four contender, but I think they're going to be. And the main reason is going to be because they resolved 2 major problems from last season. They've added multiple quality point guards that will play together, not unlike John Wall, Eric Bledsoe, and they have added enough shooting to where I think this can be a high level, I think they can go from being one of the worst high major 3-point shooting teams in the country to maybe one of the better ones.
That if they can do that, then they're going to prove their value preseason with that number 10 next to the name. And if Kentucky can be a top 25 3-point team accuracy wise, then yeah, it's going to change the court. It's going to be a different experience for UK fans, for Big Blue Nation, undeniably. I'm eager to see what we get on the big stage Tuesday night. I kind of get the feeling with both of these games that might be a little bit of nerves, some ricketiness overall. Because remember, we are returning now. While some of these players did play in front of the fans last season here and there, right? Like, it wasn't like they were every single game was no fans in the building. That's not what it was. The energy in the Garden on Tuesday is going to be different from anything that any of these players experienced last season. Not even going to be close. And so because of that, I actually think I'll just go on. I'll say no team is going to shoot better than 50% from the floor, and no team is going to shoot better than 35% from 3-point range. I think it's going to be a night where the defenses play better than the offenses, which is not all that uncommon when you talk about season opening performances and you've got 2 power conference teams playing against each other. So that's what I think we're going to see here. I'm interested to see if Banchero is going to wind up being first game, huge arrival, like what you said, or if we get Duke's other big of note. Well, they've got 3 bigs of note. They've got Theo John from Marquette, who will probably be 3rd in the pecking order behind Banchero, and then Mark Williams, who's a sophomore center, 7 feet tall, 7'7" wingspan, a guy we have, rated top 60, top 65 in the country overall players. I don't know. We'll see. Kentucky's got Oscar Shibwe, and how they deploy him defensively, and he's a grown man now. How he matches up with either of those guys. See, Banchero can step out. He can shoot from three. He can handle. He can distribute. I tend to believe that you're going to have Sheboy on Williams more. But how often both those guys are on the floor as well? Because they can play both of them. Because Banchero is that dynamic of a player there. I'm extremely intrigued to see what these Blue Devils can do against Kentucky, and a Kentucky team that I think will also be improved defensively because they got a lot of veterans. With UK specifically, almost every single season, it's okay. We start anew. Here comes 4 to 6 new faces, most of them being freshmen. The occasional transfer will come in. Obviously, we've seen grad transfers. Reed Travis being one recent example where he was a pretty good fit overall. This year with Kentucky, with everything GP laid out, it's all like, how are these older guys going to fit together? And then it wouldn't surprise me if we're talking about this late Tuesday night after the game's done, win or lose with Kentucky. It's like, all right, we saw some good stuff here and there, like Kellen Grady, okay, 11 points. Davion Mintz still seems like he's got it. Keon Brooks, we like what he's seeing. It's not even a question. Ty Washington is Kentucky's best player. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. We didn't reflect that in our preseason top 101 players list. But the reports out of Lexington and how good he's looked and how ready he is, how poised of a player he is, it's been very good news to this point. So I'm intrigued to see how Ty Washington shows up and how he goes up against a Duke backcourt, which is not shy on talent, but how Duke rolls out its lineups as well. It's going to be very fun. I find this game to be highly unpredictable, to be honest with you. I don't think there's really any outcome that could stun me beyond a team winning by more than, say, 18 or 20 points. Anything within that realm, Duke by 15, Kentucky by 16. I just think it's all on table given how many new pieces are here and how poor these teams were a season ago.
I don't think this game is hard to predict at all. Watch, I'm going to predict it so easily.
No, you can predict it easily. Go ahead and predict it accurately and then tell me how hard it is.
Yeah, I didn't say I could predict it accurately. I just said I could offer a prediction very easily, like in my sleep. Duke 71, Kentucky 69.
Nice. What's the line here? Do you have the line?
Of course I do. It's Duke -1.
That is the actual line. Okay. Because that's the KenPom projection as well. So I didn't check the lines before we got rolling here. Duke -1.
Well, so because I wanted to prep for our first YouTube show.
Did you not hear the trivia time I had locked and loaded for you? Did you not hear the history of Kentucky and Duke that I had locked and loaded? You think I didn't prep? Did I know the lines? Hell no. But did I prep? You better believe it.
Your trivia times have too many numbers in them.
I'm twisting you around, aren't I?
Yeah, it's like, there's been 21 and 22 and then 17 and 4. I'm like, what?
You're like, where's Manhattan located?
Yeah, I'm like, where is Manhattanville? And you've got a geometry problem for me. Jesus Lord.
Duke is 1-2 against Kentucky. Here's some more prep for you. Duke is 1-2 against Kentucky in the Champions Classic, which means Kentucky is 2-1 against Duke in the Champions Classic. Just
might need to double check that. Might need to double check that.
You go ahead and double check it. My prediction here, I'm going to go with the upset. Straight up. By the way, Nada wants us to let everyone know. You want to follow Ion College Basketball Podcast on Twitter. He will be live tweeting from the Champions Classic, both games from that account. And if you'll notice that the Ion College Basketball Podcast Twitter feed is going to sort of come to life, well, it's because it's been taken out of Parrish's. It's been taken out of his sweet hands.
Thank God.
Yes.
When I first started that account, I was like, you know what? I'll have some fun with this and build it up. And I was like, I don't have time.
One tweet later, and that died.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I don't have time for this. I'd rather get a TikTok.
Would you?
No, I don't.
How about you start a TikTok before this game tips Tuesday night and get it rolling? Let's see how we can go with that.
I don't mess around with TikTok, and Same. I don't really mess around with Instagram. Although I do like watching Instagram Reels. I like those. I like the Big Bank Challenge. Are you familiar with the Big Bank?
Not
Challenge?
Even close. No.
You don't know the Big Bank Challenge?
No.
So there's this song, and it goes, I got a small waist, pretty face, and a big bank. All right. So what the girls do is they go, they look into their little cameras and they go, I got a small waist, and they show their little small waist. It's like, you do have a small waist. And then they go, I got a pretty face, and they're like, pretty face. So, they show their face, and then it's like big bank, and then they jump, turn around, and then their bank bounces.
That's what you want to do on
No,
Instagram?
but here's the thing. I promise you, I'm not just a creep watching these for creepy reasons. I immediately go into the comments. The comments are hilarious because it'll be like, it might be a perfect big challenge, small waist, pretty face, and a legitimate big bank. And the comments will be like, I want to make a deposit in that bank. It's outrageous. Okay. But then sometimes somebody gets on there with a big bank and they don't really got a big bank. They're claiming a big bank, but it's not. And you go into the comments there and they're like, that bank closed. You bankrupt.
Me. Yeah.
You bankrupt. That's not a big bank. It's an ATM. I love the comments. They make me laugh, like for real. LOL. Big Bank Challenge, the best thing on Instagram. I think it's dying though. I think I got there toward the end. But when I see them, I still watch them, and then I go. If I know somebody's not actually operate with a big bank, those are my favorite comments because that person gets destroyed, and then probably, loses her self-esteem.
All right. Well, I'm going to go Kentucky 73, Duke 67. So that's a straight up upset.
Oh wow.
Big time. Yeah, I'll go with UK to win this one. This is obviously just a complete dart throw, and again, defenses win out there. But I think Kentucky will play well from beyond the perimeter, and that'll be a big time factor there. And I do think that Oscar Tshiebwe is going to have a really good night, and that's going to make an impact on how overall the impact of Banchero and potentially Williams will have. So we agreed on the first game in terms of our winner, but I'm glad this is happening. We have disagreed on this game. By the way, we have to get a tally going. We haven't started our weekend picks and all that stuff, but we got to get that going as well. So that'll be another thing. Well,